DMV Hoop Session presents the 2024 Capital Hoop Summer League, showcasing the best high school basketball in the DMV. DMV Hoop Session presents the Spring Mills Cardinals versus the Bullis Bulldogs, Capital Hoop Summer League playoff game.
And back for action for Game 2 of the 2024 Capital Hoop Summer League semifinals, presented right here on SASN TV. Noah Schubert and Isaac Harris gearing up for our second game. The first one we saw DeMatha handle John Carroll, and this one should be a fantastic matchup between the 6th-seeded Bullis Bulldogs and the 10th-seeded Spring Mill Cardinals. Now, Isaac, as we watch these two teams warm up, there is a massive presence, literally and figuratively, missing from the court for Bullis.
Yeah, Eric Roback. We're I'm not going to say MIA, because I know his ranking just went up on ESPN, so he could be, honest to God, could be on a visit. So he's not here today. So that changes the whole game plan for Spring Mill, who is a strong forward playing as well right now, and a strong five-man nucleus that's playing right now. So I'm very curious to see how the rest of the Bullis team is going to match up.
As you mentioned, the 7-foot center, Eric Ryba, missing for the Bullis Bulldogs. Recently jumped up in the ESPN Class of 2025 rankings to the 26th best player in the country. Offers from North Carolina, UConn, Kentucky, and honestly, almost all of your top teams in Division I basketball. A staple for this Bullis team, and he's missing from the lineup. So as you mentioned, it completely changes the game plan for Spring Mills. Bullis coming off of a handling victory in the quarterfinals against Whitman, 75-48 in that game. They shot 53% from the field and 50% from three, led by 20 points from Angelo Dickerson, who went 5 of 7 from distance. Eric Ryba, 14 points, 9 boards himself. Christopher Richards with 12 and Darren Moore with 11. As for Spring Mills, another convincing win for them over the Cavaliers of C.G. Woodson, 74-61, with Lokai Uth Smith, 24 points and 6 rebounds. Caleb Thomas, 19 points, 14 rebounds, and almost a triple-double with 8 assists. Now, when we were going into this game, the strategy was, how is Spring Mills going to contain Eric Ryba down low? Well, now they don't have to worry about it, because now these two teams match up a lot better with this Bullis team is now consisted of a lot of forwards and taller guards, and Spring Mill Cardinals can match up a lot better with that. Tip-off is down and is won by the Cardinals. Akwasi Opoku-Achampong starting out with it and gives it off to Chase Shipley. Caleb Thomas getting things started quickly for the Cardinals.
This is going to be – I'm excited for Spring Mill because, you know me, I have a bias toward the Mountain State, my Country Roads family. But
as there's a steal from Xavier Skipworth, and he'll finish strong with the right hand to start things off for the freshman forward.
I guess no Eric, no problem for Bullis here. That was a great start and great spark to show that, hey, we don't need him here. Not saying we love our teammate, but we're still Bullis.
Uth Smith, he'll pull up for three, and the answer off the front of the rim, and Skipworth with the rebound. As they work it around the other way. And I think I might have to give myself a correction. I believe 11 is Adrian Stevens, not Xavier Skipworth. I think he's wearing Skipworth's jersey. His three-pointer on the way and no good. Board for Opoku-Achampong. So Adrian Stevens wearing number 11, I have to believe. He's the 6'4" senior guard with the second most height on this Bullis team. An early foul against Darren Moore will put Caleb Thomas at the line.
It's going to be interesting to see how, now since they match up so much better, I have a weird feeling this game's going to get very close. It's going to get very close. The same bench, same everything.
Now these two teams did meet in the regular season, as the first free throw was good for Caleb Thomas. It was a 67-58 Bullis win. Ryba had a double-double with 11 points and 10 rebounds, and Adrian Stevens had 17. Tyler Jones had 20 points for Spring Mills, and Caleb Thomas had 14 himself. It's all tied up at 2 apiece as Thomas goes 2 for 2 from the line. 14 and a half to play in the first half. Moore passes it off to Michael Heeman, and it's out of bounds. Cards basketball. Now I noticed that Hope Bakwi is in the starting lineup for this Cardinals team. Tyler Jones is the usual starting guard, and I can't tell if he's on the bench or he wasn't able to make it for this game, but Hope Bakwi is going to get some critical minutes here for Spring Mills team that really only runs a 5-man rotation.
Whew. These guys are in shape. They run 5-man most of the summer league for about 12 games in total. These guys are in shape. Driving an hour and a half, yeah.
Heeman with the rebound, and we'll get more into how shallow this Spring Mills team is. But for now, on the other end, it's Angelo Dickerson. Dickerson, nice cross-up on Bakwi. Bakwi, he gets his revenge on the rejection. The 6'2 junior guard extends to swat that ball away. Elko Champong puts it down low. Screen. That's going to be a long 2. Doesn't matter. Stevens skies in for the board. Christopher Richards. 12 points and 6 boards, 5 assists in the win over the Vikes of Whitman. Heeman up top. Richards finishes with the right and the foul. Christopher Richards, the 6'4 senior forward, will head to the line to try and finish the and one. 10.9 points per game in the regular season. One of 4 players for Bullis to play in all 8 of their games, and he hits the free throw. 5-2 Bulldogs lead under head coach Bruce Kelly, who is an icon really in the basketball world here in the DMV.
Of course. Floater
is blocked by Stevens. Luke Samples, head coach over at Spring Mills. 3-pointer, good. Lokai Smith finds it from distance.
This is going to be, I'm so excited for this game. Bullis is looking good. Coach Kelly's hat is just coming off a great year in the regular season and also in the summer league. Bullis has been nationally ranked the last 2 years for the first time in a long time. This is a golden era for the MAC conference, and we're watching it live.
Darren Moore's pull-up jumper falls through. Him, Stevens, and Richards have done the scoring for the Bulldogs. Thomas and Smith early on for the Cards. It's a 7-5 Bullis lead. 4 minutes into the matchup. Much different tempo than what we saw in the DeMatha John Carroll game, as both teams, I think, are still trying to find their pace and feel each other out.
Right, because I feel like Spring Mills was looking at it like, oh, we're ready for Eric. And Eric's not here, so it's like, okay, let's see what this team looks like without Eric. They had no idea. And excuse me on the conference correction. I said MAC. It actually meant IAC. So, ooh.
Ah, come on, Isaac.
I know.
Get on your game. We're professionals here. Poko Champong puts it down. Uth Smith. Thomas. Over Heeman. It bounced off the back of the rim. Richards with the board. Gives it to Darren Moore. Out of bounds, it will be Cards basketball, and we'll get a substitute in for Spring Mills.
Interesting enough, they're using subs actually.
Well, I think it's because of the lack of Tyler Jones. And so I think that Luke Samples might be diving deep into the bench a little bit more. As new into the game is number 15, Max Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Thomas. Uth Smith. Thomas for 3. That one cashes. Pardon me, Chase Shipley makes that shot. Shipley, 12 points and 4 rebounds in the win over the Cavaliers. A 25% three-point shooter in the regular season, but gets that one to fall. as Spring Mills takes the lead 8-7 with 10:22 to go. Dickerson has an answer. Angelo Dickerson, a private school all-star, has been picking up some traction when it comes to the Division I basketball world. As a fantastic feed pass inside, but Thomas felt a little bit of pressure and couldn't finish. Dickerson to Moore, and we're gonna get a very rare carry called.
Very rare.
We never see that.
No, we do not.
Bullis themselves will dive into their bench. Smith, and there was some contention there, but Card's able to grab the board. Thomas surveying, 20 seconds to shoot. Crosses up Thomas, nice entry pass inside, waited for Shipley to make the move, and they're rewarded.
Big time reward.
In the game for Bullis, it's Orrin Ford and Spring Mill. Other side, shot no good. Stevens cleanup, and he can't get the shot to fall. Thomas will grab it. So for Bullis, it is Orrin Ford and James Boise, I believe. Corner. Smith's got it. 9 seconds to shoot. Down low to Thomas. Thomas with 6 has a poked away baseline with 5 seconds on the shot clock.
Such a slower pace than this last game, but not like in a bad way, like, oh my gosh, we're watching like molasses, but it's more like, oh, these guys are playing so careful and cautious because they don't want to reveal too much or let the game get out of hand scoring-wise.
Heeman and Richards will check in for Bullis. 3 seconds. Turn around. Shot is up from Shipley. A prayer, and it smooth like butter for Shipley.
Wow.
Making a mark for himself early on. He's got 8 of the 13 points scored by Spring Mills. They lead 13-9 with 8:20 to go. Back to Moore. He'll pull up. Front of the rim, rebound to the Bulldogs. Moore again flips it. Back to him, and there's some contention on defense. They're gonna call a foul against the Cards. Max Anderson. His first foul, second team foul. So there were 4 players who played 31 minutes for the Cards in their win over the Cavaliers. Poku Achampong, Caleb Thomas, Uth Smith, and Tyler Jones. Chase Shipley played 26 minutes, and him and Hope Bakwi was the only one who was relieved him for any significant part of the game. But now, as there's a fantastic find by Heeman, but the finish is not there. Now all of a sudden, you see the Cards are rotating through their bench.
Right. I mean, at that point, I feel like you have to. Why not? Like, this is a fairly even game. No one's outmatched each other out here. Yeah, use everything you got. See what happens.
Shipley backs up and looks up at the shot clock, sees 10. Shipley.
Ugh.
And Anderson was just not ready for that.
You like the idea, but it wasn't the idea, you know?
Right idea, execution was...
It wasn't there, but like I said, as a coach, if I was a coach, I can't be mad at that. He's looking for his teammates.
No, the movement was there.
Yeah.
And as a coach, you want ball movement.
Yep.
13-9, still a Cards lead, 7:09 to play. Top of three-point range. Stevens instead opts for the floater and makes his second basket of the game.
This is an incredible matchup. I'm still astonished by this Spring Mills team and how they're keeping up with the almighty Bullis.
And almost an and one. It bounces out for Lokai Uth-Smith. So he'll still get 2 free throws for the 6'5" senior forward. Led Spring Mills, 24 points, 6 boards, and 3 blocks in the win over the Cavaliers. Also tacked on 3 made threes. He's got 1 make from distance. Those are his only points in this game so far. So he misses the first free throw. Now, one thing I'm noticing from this Spring Mills team is there's not a lot of data on which colleges are looking at them. And honestly, none of these players even have Twitter pages or X pages to even display where they're fielding offers.
That's the beautiful thing about being in the Eastern Panhandle. They're just hitting gems, and we'll find out later. They end up playing at Fairmont State and end up somehow in the NBA if they're good enough. So I think that's the power of that. They'll end up probably at Shepherd or possibly Wheeling. We'll see what happens.
Marshall, maybe?
Yeah, Marshall, yeah, who knows? I mean, but that's the beautiful thing about their whole conference, that Jefferson County area. They've always had some hidden gems come out of there. So we may not know now where they're going, but we'll find out later.
Thomas with 5 seconds, has to kick it out. Uth-Smith will trigger for 3 and connect.
Wow.
Lokai Uth-Smith from distance, his second made tray. And timeout Bullis. Bruce Kelly wants to talk things over as his team trails 17-11 with 5:58 to go. Lokai Uth-Smith and Chase Shipley have both made a pair of threes. Uth-Smith with 7 points, Shipley with 8.
I don't think Coach Kelly was anticipating the three-point clip being that high right now. I think he was anticipating, okay, they're going to try to outshoot us, but not like the way they are. Like, oh, they're still playing slow, they're not being rushed, and they're not taking any bad threes like Shipley. That was a very mature three-pointers that he took, just taking the way he took his time. So I think Coach Kelly had to bring the Bulls guys together, like, hey guys, like, don't overlook them. Like, don't think there's some random public school in West Virginia. He's like, no, these guys came all the way out here to play, and this is the reason why they're here.
So they've made now 4 threes as a team. They hit 5 all of last game against the Cavaliers. 5 of 20 from distance. But then they went 21 of 31 on their 2-point shots. So an extremely high shooting percentage from inside the 3-point arc.
That percentage I feel like that's extremely misleading. And I feel like at that point they're showing, like, oh, we're like high school kids. We shoot very streaky. If you're going to go 5 for 20 from 3, and then, like, you're going to almost make like 60% of your layups. Yeah, you've got a prototypical high school team. It's not, and it's weird because in the DMV, our expectations are different because of the conference play, because of the IAC and the WCAC and the MAC and some of the public schools even within the city. These guys play above their expectations. Very, very seldomly we get to see a traditional high school team that is just solid. They shoot a high percentage from the inside the field, and then outside the field, it's just kind of weird. So
as Dickerson goes 1 for 2, 3 points for him. 17-12, Card still in the lead over Bullis. Pump fake, it's in the corner. Anderson puts it down low with Thomas. 5.5 to play in this first half that, even for a low-scoring affair, has gone by fairly quickly, at least in my eyes, as a floater, no good off the right side of the rim. And Stevens will take it up the floor. Stevens, the only one donning yellow, but it's not navy blue, so it will work as Christopher Richards hits a big-time 3. And now timeout, Luke Samples, as it's down to a 2-point game. Richards is the leading scorer for Bullis with 6.
Yeah, no, if I'm Coach Samples, it's like, hey, guys, we were just doing so good. Why we stop what we were doing? That's why I feel like he just brought them together. He's like, why are we stopping what we're doing? What we're doing is working. It's what's got us here. So let's keep doing that.
We've seen 4 straight points from Bullis, 1 coming from the line from Dickerson, and that 3 from Christopher Richards, a 6'4" senior forward who, I mean, as I mentioned, he filled up the stat sheet fairly admirably in the win over the Vikes and has not seen any college attention at all. But I feel like going into this senior season, 6'4", he can hit the 3. He's shown, at least in this game, the regular season, only shot 27%. But when you're on Bullis, you're going to get some looks.
Yeah, no, 100%. He's going to get some looks. Bullis is poised to have an amazing season this upcoming year. It's a matter of time. Wait till later in July. We'll hear something.
Up the floor, 5 minutes to go in this first half. Cards lead 17-15 over the Bulldogs. Spring Mills of West Virginia and Bullis of the local DMV. Shipley puts it down, and it's out of bounds. Just a mental error, as him and Lokai Uth-Smith were not on the same page.
No, and I feel like, that's okay to have these lapses right now because this first half has gone so fast, but can't have that load for the rest of the game.
Heeman inbounds to Darren Moore. Moore crosses the timeline, left corner, Heeman. Nice closeout defense from Bullis. Stevens jab step again, driving with the left. Fadeaway jumper off the back iron, the heel, no good. Heeman with the board, it's in the corner. Jumping for joy, oh my goodness gracious. Christopher Richards, with no regard for human life, hammers it home.
Hello, Mr. Richards. Thank you for introducing yourself to us. Wow.
That's one way to tie this game up at 17 apiece. Wow. Now the Cards will try to take the energy back, and they can't. Shot too strong from Mopoku Achampong from 3. Now Bulls with a chance to take the lead on this possession. And an off-ball foul is going to go against Anderson. His second. I can't get over that baseline jam. Wow.
That was, in the way his setup, it didn't look like it was going to happen like that. I thought it was going to be a tough layup.
Well, we were telling you that Richards was going to probably get some looks going into a senior season, and that's one way to draw looks.
Yeah.
Is to get some highlight reels on your highlight reel.
Yeah, of course, and appreciate with the the play-by-play commentary on it. That just makes it sound so much better when he grabs his clip, edits it, and sends it to somebody. Said, "Hey, that play-by-play guy described it very well."
We'll give him the rights off YouTube. Stevens will inbound underneath the Cards basket with a back-to-back foul called against Anderson. That's his third. Stevens can't win the battle. Lokai Uth-Smith stands his ground. 3:35 to go. We're all tied up at 17 apiece in a low-scoring yet speedy affair. It's really just neither team can make a basket. They're not going at a slow pace. Inside Thomas. Step, turn around, smooth. 19-17. Spring Mills back in the lead. Thomas has 4. Angelo Dickerson crossing up Shipley, step back, deep three-pointer, top of the key, it does not matter. Dickerson showing off the range.
Great step back.
And now Bullis will take the lead up 20-19. The first time they've been in the lead for almost the entire first half. Handoff, Poku with Champong. Thomas leaves it on the rim. Heeman with the rebound.
This is going to be an interesting attack right here.
Dickerson draws the foul on the floor. They're going to say no basket.
Oof. If I'm Spring Mills, you got to clog the middle when that happens. Force him to kick it out.
And that is the third foul against Shipley. He got into foul trouble in the win over the Cavaliers. That's why he only played 26 minutes. I use that in jest.
Right.
But he gets replaced by a Max Anderson who has 3 fouls himself. So while the other 4 players on the court for the Cards are not in foul trouble, him and Anderson with 3 first-half fouls apiece. Hope Bakwi has checked in the game. Up top, Thomas. Outside three-point range. Richards, eyes on the prize, hands up, stifling defense. Down, barely gets it off to Opoku with Champong. Three-pointer on the way. Off to the left for Lokai Uth-Smith. Battle for the rebound. Cards have it. Anderson, but he couldn't get it cleanly. Under 2 minutes ago, Adrian Stevens out. Heeman hesitates. Down low, Stevens. He finishes.
Good ball movement from Bullis there. Heeman taking his time, not just rushing a jumper, looking for the next man.
Bulldogs extend their lead 22-19, a minute 34 to go in this first half. Thomas, double screen from Bakwi, nice movement from him off ball. Defense is still keying in. Darren Moore, a lot of pressure, and a travel from a flustered Caleb Thomas.
This is what happens when you play against a Coach Kelly team from Bullis. They start getting comfortable. They start forcing you to make mistakes that you wouldn't normally make. So this does not surprise me right now at this point in the game.
Now, Eric Ryba, again, is not on the floor, and this game could be completely different with him on, but Bullis, it took them a minute to find their stride, but in the final few minutes of this first half, they have been looking a lot better than the game started off.
That's very true.
Stevens, I think someone got a piece of that, but definitely a piece of that by Caleb Thomas. Uth Smith quickly up the floor, then retreats. Apoku Achampong, he's scoreless. Flip over to Thomas. Thomas takes a screen from Uth Smith, drives inside, blocked from behind by Michael Heeman. Up the floor, Dickerson towards the rim, can't finish with the left. Bakwi picks it up. He'll slow it down and flip it over to Kwasi Apoku Achampong. 30 seconds to play, 12-second difference between game clock and shot clock. Thomas relaxes, settles down with 10 seconds. Thomas drives inside, puts it up. It won't bounce home. Board to Christopher Richards. And thrown out of bounds with 16 and a half seconds.
This has been a very entertaining first half as far as if you're a basketball fan, you're like, okay, it's not super exciting if you're not, but like, if you're like us, wow.
If you're looking for points, it's not the most exciting.
Yeah, there we go.
However, these two teams have been playing very well against each other, and a hold is called against Richards. First foul on him, third team foul against Bullis. And we have bodies hitting the deck. Uth Smith, back to Thomas. Foul called against Dickerson. So we've had two fouls here in the last 16 and a half seconds. And there's only the first foul on either player, but you never want to pick up fouls like that.
No.
As Dickerson will go to the bench for the final 10 and a half seconds of the half to try and mitigate any foul damage. The Cards have a decent amount of time to set up a play and either tie this game or get within one. Bakwi inbound, back to Uth Smith. 7 seconds, down low, Bakwi, Heeman over him. Bakwi reverse layup, won't fall. Heeman saves it, out of bounds, off of Chase Shipley. With 1.1 seconds, Bullis can just heave one up right before the buzzer. Stevens will inbound, and the Cards are going to pressure this. Moore at the horn, it's heaving, it's on the way, and it'll be off. A 22-19 Bullis lead going into halftime. A very low-scoring affair, but as you mentioned, not an unentertaining first half of basketball.
Right, no. I mean, if you're looking for a lot of points, then this isn't the game for you. If you're looking for just discipline, skill work from both teams, both teams are playing within themselves. They're playing poise. They're not playing out of their their typical routine. I mean, Bullis might be without their star big man, but they're both playing pretty disciplined. They're both playing pretty calm, and I think that's what you can ask for from a high school coach, especially in circumstances like this.
So the point distribution for Spring Mills has been between three players. Chase Shipley with 8, Lokai Uth Smith with 7, and Caleb Thomas with 4. Uth Smith and Shipley combining for 4 combined makes from three-point land. As for Bullis, 8 points for Christopher Richards, including that highlight reel poster dunk that we saw him drive baseline. 6 for Adrian Stevens and Angelo Dickerson apiece. And as we mentioned, without Eric Ryba, he's this focal point of Bullis' game plan. He has to be.
Right.
He's a basically I don't think he might be a 4-star recruit, but 5-star potential, almost in the top 25 in the country for this upcoming senior class. And you're really looking him for the post, a down low. And when you lose that, the axle of your wheel, to use that as a term, and you can't kick it out off of putting it down low, you have to resort to jump shots. But Bullis, they've been passing it around three-point range, and they have been kicking it out and getting nice drives inside and finding open lanes to get baskets, hard-nosed baskets to the rim.
I feel like and that's a great point, because with Eric in there, it's like, okay, he's going to move out the way to let you attack the basket and draw some offense for you. But now we're seeing a whole different side of Bullis without him. And we're seeing, like, okay, what are everyone else's strengths without their star focal point big man, the guy they can just dump it into and they can just kick back out, because everyone's going to just try to make sure he doesn't get a rebound. So that's why we're seeing Nick Richards going off the corner with the dunk, or Dickerson trying to just go straight to the basket. He's like, all right, we don't have anyone clogging the floor. Not saying that's a bad thing. It's just saying, it's like, hey, we're showing a different side of our game without him. So I feel like for them, it's like, I know Eric will probably miss a couple practices here and there, but it feels like this is what it looks like when he's not at practice. Like, they're just feeling like, okay, we're going to show what we can do without him and act like he's there.
Now, it is the usual suspects leading the way for Bullis. Christopher Richards has those 8 points, 10.9 points per game in the regular season. Dickerson with 6, averaged almost 14, and he was a private school all-star. Adrian Stevens with 6 himself, and he put up 12.3 points per game during the regular season. Now, we saw Bullis last year, a very disappointing loss, also without Eric Ryba, as they fell to the Tenley Tigers in the semifinals, 57-41. They were the eventual champs, Tenley. They took down DeMatha. And Adrian Stevens led Bullis with 16 points. And Tyler Boston, the point guard for Bullis. You remember Tyler Boston?
I remember Tyler Boston, very talented guard.
Now playing at Holy Cross, had 8. And I think that, one, Tenley was extremely talented last year.
Oh, yeah.
But 2, I think that Bullis, they were not ready for the sudden shock of losing Eric Ryba, and so that against a stacked Tenley Tigers team, it was a much larger loss than it is appearing against this Spring Mills Cards team, who I think we need to shift some focus on, as they're without their shooting guard, Tyler Jones. He had 13 points and 4 boards. He's MIA. I don't know if it was travel concerns, injury, we don't like to speculate, but he's out. So it's been Chase Shipley, Lokai Uth-Smith, and Caleb Thomas have been the only scorers, with Hope Bakwi and Max Anderson getting some big minutes for the Spring Mills team, unexpectedly so, most likely.
And what's awesome at that, because we were talking about saying that, Spring Mills has only been playing their 5 guys or maybe their 1-6 guy. Now they have to show, like, okay, our bench guys could play too, but I know for them, from talking to one of their coaches who I knew very fondly, this was for that starting senior 5, because they feel like they have a shot to run the Charleston for the state title game and being the Elite 8. So they've wanted to make sure this experience at the whole DeMatha Capital Summer League was, hey, to get these guys ready for going to Charleston. So I know these bench guys probably understood that, saying, hey, they're not going to have the opportunity, but now the opportunity presents itself. Hope has stepped up the right way. He's not trying to play out of his game. He's not trying to do too much. So I'm expecting to see more of that throughout this second half, saying, hey, we have to use all our bodies now.
Now, Spring Mills, they have been playing this postseason without Xavier Anderson, the 6'7 junior forward who put up 11.6 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 1.3 assists in the regular season. So I think that also has limited them in their capacity to play, is that 6'7 forward. I believe he played in 5 games in the regular season. And now all of a sudden you have to pump the brakes and retool your starting lineup, and now you lose another piece in Tyler Jones. So you only really have 4 trustworthy starters in Akwasi Opoku Champong, Caleb Thomas, Lokai Uth-Smith, and Chase Shipley. So how do you plug the gaps? And so far it's been Hope Bakwi and Max Anderson who have been plugging those gaps. But Anderson has 3 fouls along with Chase Shipley, and they don't really have much more bench to spare.
No, and I think that's the thing that's going to be interesting, because it's like, okay, now you have to play even more conservative than you already. It's a very low-scoring game. It's very conservative play on both teams, but you're in foul trouble that early. I don't know. I mean, are you just going to roll? I think they're going to have to roll the ball into the court and just hope that, hey, we don't get a shot clock violation right now.
Well, almost done with halftime here in our second game of the 2024 Capital Hoop Summer League semifinals here on SASN TV. Noah Schubert and Isaac Harris bringing you the action. DeMatha awaits the winner of a close game, 22-19 Bullis lead. The Bulldogs trying to make it to the title game after falling out in the semifinals last year. And Spring Mills, the newcomers, to this tournament out of state. Well, they're trying to make one more trip up to Hyattsville, Maryland before the summer is over. And Bullis will have the inbound up by 3. Darren Moore will get it in. Heeman, Dickerson on the floor along with Richards and Stevens for the Bulldogs. We're underway in the corner. Richards gets it down low to Stevens immediately, putting up with the left, and it bounces home. Stevens with the quick 2.
Good way to start the half.
So they are getting that movement down low as Thomas stops short. Booth Smith will try to send it a deep 3. Too strong. Box out for the rebound and is won by Bullis. Dickerson crosses up. Flips it over to Moore. At the logo, Heeman. Looking every which way, finds a cutting Adrian Stevens who finishes with the right. And you have to be careful to not let Adrian Stevens take over the second half. He's at back-to-back made baskets, 10 points now for the game. And now it's a 7-point lead for Bullis and a miss by Chase Shipley on the other end.
Got to play conservative, Mr. Shipley, to try to get back in this game. Bullis is not changing the game. Or their game, per se.
And setting his feet, Anderson draws the charge from Christopher Richards, who put his shoulder down. And Baku will check in for Anderson. And that's risky to do, to try to set your feet when you got 3 fouls like that.
Very hard, very risky. But hey, you got to try things.
Comes out on top. Cardinals with 7 points to make up, down 26-19. Just over a minute played in this second half. 3-pointer by Apoku Achampong is no good. Richards on the other end, loses it, recovers. Flips out Heeman, back to Richards in the corner for 3. Money for Christopher Richards, his second made 3-pointer.
That is a poised basketball play. That was very mature of Richards and Hyman being ready to shoot.
As Richards has shown off that he can drive, he can shoot from distance. 11 points for him, both him and Stevens in double figures for Bullis. And the Cardinals are in danger territory as there's an air ball from Thomas, as they're now down by 10. And the Bulldogs, they're not running away with this game by any means. There's still a lot of basketball left to be played, but they are showing off that they are much more prepared coming into the second half. Richards finds Stevens, pull-up jumper off the backboard. Bakwi corrals. Shipley across half court, finds Thomas. Flip, deep 3-pointer, bounce and down to Dickerson. Dickerson taking it up. He'll try a deep 3, connects! And oosh from the bench from Angelo Dickerson, and Spring Mills wants a timeout as Dickerson's got 9, and Bullis a 10-0 run coming out of halftime.
You can't take careless shots, especially when you're dealing with a team that plays very smart and doesn't like to play out of their game. So if I'm Spring Mill, don't play the way that got you to the semifinal. Do not change it. Do not rock the boat. And they're rocking the boat right now.
Now, Spring Mills, I'm trying to figure out what's not going right for them, and I think that it's the non-3-pointers, because they showed in the quarterfinals that it's not their forte. 5 of 20 from three-point land, but 21 of 31 from the rest of the field. And their percentage on those drive-ins, on those pull-up jumpers, is not the same as it was against the Cavaliers.
Yep.
And I think Bullis' defense is showing that they're a lot more long and versatile than those C.G. Woodson guys.
Yep, that is so true. I think that's to be honest, that's actually right on the money.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's right on the money. Just the length is different. You're guarding against different athletes.
Shipley, stride for stride. Stevens is there right with him. No room to work. Takes a screen from Thomas. Shipley backs up with 15. Shipley to Bakwi. Bakwi with 12, and getting right in the mix, Darren Moore. Down the other way, finishes with the right. Get up, young man, Darren Moore. (12-0) lead for Bullis. They're up by 15. And another steal. And this game is crumbling beneath the feet of Spring Mills. Richards, fadeaway, and why not?
Mr. Richards is going to leave with a couple offers later late in the open period if he's playing like this.
It's now a 14-0 Bullis run. Cardinals have not scored in the second half. Three-pointer on the way. Uth Smith will continue that trend. Board fought for and won by Shipley. Able to get it out to Opoku Achampong. Thomas out Shipley for three. And there it is. Chase Shipley breaks the scoreless drought and finally breathes some life into the Spring Mills team. But now they trail by 14 because they've dug themselves quite the hole. Dickerson step back three-pointer, and there's an answer for the All-Star. Third made three-pointer, 12 points for Angelo Dickerson.
Now this game can get out of hand real quick with another possession like that.
As it's now a 17-point lead for Bullis. Cardinals are grasping at anything they can get as Uth Smith, he'll try his hand at a three-pointer. No, Bakwi, nice rebound, and I don't know how that went in.
Neither do I.
I think that got tipped in from behind
yeah.
Bakwi, and the trajectory,
yeah,
I'm speechless.
I'm speechless too, and thank God we do not have instant lead play because that, I mean, I wish we did to see it, but
That's kind of hard because I guess you want to give Bakwi the basket, but does that count towards the team points? Like, there is really no own basket stat category, like their own goals in soccer.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, just give it to him. It's
a small little two for Hope Bakwi, call it a day. As it's a 15-point lead for Bullis, but they have the inbound with 15 seconds on the shot clock, up 39-24 with 11:18 to play in the half. Off-ball foul against Anderson. That's his fourth. And Bakwi will check back in after he got just maybe a minute or minute and a half of a breather of real time. And Anderson, he might be off the court for a little bit, although Shipley is on the court right now with his 3 fouls. And what a extension for Stevens. Saved our equipment here on the table. I saw the fate of the broadcast flashing before my eyes, and Stevens was my guardian angel. Richards cannot be stopped. He makes his third three-pointer from distance. He's got 16 points, and it's an 18-point lead for Bullis.
Yeah, no, these possessions are critical right now for the Cards.
A 20-5 Bullis run here in the first 5.5 minutes or so. Uth Smith just throws something up, and why not?
It worked.
The shot clock running down. Lokai Uth Smith, his first second-half basket is a 3. Cuts it down back to that 15-point number. Richards hands it off. Stevens. Stevens with the right to the corner. Three-pointer on the way. And another make from distance for Bullis.
They're just taking great shots, and they're being poised about their shot selection. Love to see it, but yeah. I wish I could say something more for the other side.
It's 7 made team threes for the Bulldogs. They made 11 in the win over the Vikes. So they're showing off their range once more. Inbound from the Cards into Hope Bakwi. And he gets a little confused and picks it up. He's going to run main point. Shipley will relieve him of duties. 18-point Bullis Bulldogs lead. Inside, jumper, no. Rebound to Heeman. Up the floor, Richards. Step back to the corner for 3. That one rims in and out. Something had to give.
Something did.
For Richards, almost a heat check in a sense, to see, okay, what is this game really going to be for Christopher Richards? Rebound down. Orrin Ford with the board. Heeman. Guarded up by Uth Smith. Inside, nice feed. Richards puts it up. Bounces once, twice. Bakwi with the rebound. Spring Mills the other way. Thomas, head full of steam. Block is the call. James Boise. Stevens back in. He has 10. Sends Richards to the bench, who has 16 himself. Inbound to Shipley. Caleb Thomas has it swatted away. Bakwi blocked from behind by the much taller Heeman. Heeman barely had to move, as he's been quiet from the scoring column, but Dickerson surely has not. He buries another three. That's his 4th make from three-point range. 15 points for Dickerson, and timeout. Luke Samples, 21-point lead for Bullis, and I think that we're seeing the DeMatha John Carroll syndrome in full effect in this game as well.
Right, and I wish Spring Mills, took some advice from John Carroll on what are you going to do when you play with a high-powered offense like that doesn't like to stay out of rhythm. What are you going to do? And right now they're doing the same thing about like John Carroll. They're not breaking their rhythm right now. You got to find a way to break the rhythm. Right now, Bullis not playing fast. Okay, try to speed them up. And if they keep making shots from speeding them up, then you got to try something different. You got to throw something out there other than what you're usually doing. Mix it up.
16 for Richards, 15 for Dickerson, 10 for Adrian Stevens so far, leading Bullis a 21-point, 48-27 advantage over Spring Mills with 8:27 to play in the second half. It was so promising. Spring Mills, they had a lead going.
Right.
A lead going in the first half, and then Bullis, they cut that lead, and then they went into halftime up by 3. It was a 22-19 ball game at the half, and since then, Bullis has gone on a 26-8 run.
Part of me, I don't want to say they ran out of gas, but maybe they ran out of gas with the limited bench depth.
I mean, you can only play so long with your starters playing 31 out of 32 minutes as Shipley hits the jumper.
Right.
Shipley, the second player in the double figures for Spring Mills. 13 for him. Dickerson with the left. Dickerson off glass and 1 for good measure. Now, Dickerson's a guy I've been waiting to talk about him. A junior guard, 6'4". And, when you talk about, the 1-2, Eric Ryba, the 1, Adrian Stevens, the 2, Dickerson, he's at 3. He has some offers from Norfolk State, Towson, ODU, Morehead State are giving him looks, and a private school all-star, and he knows how to score. And I think that he is perfectly okay playing that third fiddle to Ryba and Stevens, but also being that second guy when Ryba can't play.
Because he gives the show that he's more than just trying to get these offers as a mid-major, like, 6-man, which I think that's why a lot of these mid-majors are looking at him. They see him as a 6-man option who can shoot, as a deep threat, based off how loaded this team is, based off the talent. So opportunities like this come very rarely for Mr. Dickinson, and he's taking full advantage of it.
Well, he missed the free throw, but he's got 17 points in this game. Cards have 15 to shoot from the corner. Anderson will try his look at a 3 off the backboard, off the rim, and no. And Dickerson has it in stride. It was a 2-on-1 for a brief moment, but then Spring Mill is able to get back on defense. Dickerson, no pressure from Shipley, so he'll flip it to Stevens. Stevens, back up from the elbow, short, grabbing his own rebound, and he'll put it back up. Heads up basketball from Adrian Stevens, who's got 12. 7:10 to play, 52-29 lead for Bullis. 23 points, the Bulldogs over the Cardinals. As Bullis, they're looking for a date with DeMatha in the championship game.
Hopefully we see a good move. Good move.
And that was a fantastic move from James Boise.
I'm just sitting here just in awe of like how poised Bullis is playing. They haven't broken a sweat almost.
Now DeMatha and Bullis squared off in a fantastic cinematic regular season game. 52-29, DeMatha was able to come out on top. And assuming that Eric Ryba can come back for the championship game, I mean, I'm expecting no less theater in that final game. Bullis, it seems like they're going to come out on top in this one as they lead by 25, and we'll face off for that rematch against DeMatha looking for revenge.
And I think it's just a revenge. I feel like Bullis and DeMatha have been going at it now for the last couple of years in the regular season, summer league, and the DMV live periods. Bullis is itching on that, hey, we are the school to represent Maryland, and I like this little new rivalry that we have.
It'll stay with the Cardinals. Second taken off the shot clock, 6:14 game clock, 54-29 lead. As Spring Mills, they just crossed into the double figures in the second half mark. There's a three-pointer, no. And the board fought for Anderson playing hardball, but it's all for naught as none of his teammates realized he had the ball.
Oh.
And a stumble from the new player in for Bullis. That is number 0, Jeremiah Rice. The 6-foot junior guard.
Interesting movement right here from Spring Mill. Win with pride. Try to go with pride.
Three-pointer Shipley. Off the heel. Bullis in transition. Stevens in the corner. Back, and they will put it down with Darren Moore. Finds Stevens. Shipley will finally force that 5 seconds. So Stevens will try to drive inside. 10 seconds to shoot. Richards does just that and buries another three-pointer. 19 for Christopher Richards. 4th made three-pointer.
This is an interesting. Oh, yeah. No needed foul there from Bullis. You're up by 25 up, but no need.
Christopher Richards has now scored a new season high with his 19. He had 16 in Bullis' regular season win over John Carroll. And now with 19 in this game, including 4 made threes, which is double his regular season high, as Shipley hits his first free throw. So Christopher Richards, I guess if you're shifting them up a notch, you get Dickerson as the 1, Stevens as the 1, Dickerson as the 2, and Richards as the 3. But Christopher Richards, he's been making a name for himself.
I think he has, and that's nice to see. Like, some new faces and showing that, hey, we're here too. Our team may be stacked, but we got other pieces.
And it's who's going to step up when you have players like Ryba gone, as there's a fantastic move from James Boise. He's got 4. Who's going to be the player that maybe you don't make up for him in size, but you can make up for him in the aggregate. Make up his points, make up his hustle, make up his player presence, but not his physical presence.
Right.
And I think that Christopher Richards has stepped up to the task.
Oh.
There's a miss from 3. As we're ticking towards 4 minutes to play, and the ball gets thrown into the Spring Mills bench with 4:05 to go. Heeman checks back in along with Orrin Ford.
My hope for right now for Spring Mill is just don't settle for shots. Although the game does look bleak, doesn't look like you're going to win, don't settle for shots. Still try to get some educational type stuff coming here. And
educational?
I said educational. I said it perfectly because I don't know how much education you get from a big loss like this, but, take what you can get.
And take it back to West Virginia. Heeman three-pointer bounces out. And Spring Mills had quite the run. Again, there were the strangers, them and Chambersburg. Chambersburg coming from Pennsylvania. Spring Mills from West Virginia as Bakwi shot off the back of the rim and no good. And they made it all the way to the Final Four. I think that these parents made a few more trips than they'd initially anticipated to Hyattsville, Maryland, but they put up a great fight as Stevens made the driving layup there and, kind of put the outside of DMV on the map for the 2025 Summer League when it comes around.
Yeah, I don't know if Spring Mill will be back. We have no idea. But I'd like to see the Eastern Panhandle teams coming back toward the DMV. I know we say they're strangers and they're out-of-towners, but, geographically they're an hour away from the city. So they're more like distant cousins of Baltimore, too. So I like seeing those Eastern Panhandle teams coming out and participate.
But also I think that it makes a case for more out-of-state teams, or I guess I say out-of-region, outside the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, more teams to try and make the trip up. Maybe next year we see a North Carolina team. Maybe next year we see another Pennsylvania team. Who is going to be coming next to join this group of, or this duo of Pennsylvania and West Virginia coming through in the DMV and the Summer League as we have a timeout to stop things.
I think if we're gonna put something on the spread, it's gonna be someone from Delaware.
I like that call.
Yeah,
I really like that call.
It's gonna be someone from Delaware.
We've seen competition from Delaware come through and play in some of those invitational tournaments.
Yep.
There was one at St. John's High School over in December, I believe,
Yep.
and there was a team from Delaware who came down.
Yep. Yeah, I see Delaware and then somebody else from that Chambersburg, Gettysburg, because it's all still. And that's why, that's why they all came in, because they're all within an hour of D.C., about like an hour 10. So, and maybe we might get a team coming from Richmond. Maybe I can see
There's some
Fredericksburg.
talent there.
I can see a Fredericksburg team or a Winchester team coming out. Something toward there, or southern Western Maryland, like Oakland, maybe. So not necessarily like on the Eastern Panhandle, but southern Western Maryland, like something from Oakland.
Because he didn't come from Chesapeake.
No, too far. 3
Too far?
hours.
You think 3 hours?
Too far.
But also I think that it makes the case for, when you talk about these public schools and private schools, when they have to fill the gaps in their schedule, it shows that there is out-of-state talent that's willing to make the trip to put themselves against the top talent of the DMV.
Oh, of course, Spring Mill is already asking me, like, hey, who do you think we should schedule? Because we want to, bring that pipeline back. Historically, the Eastern Panhandle used to always play in Northern Virginia and D.C., but that stopped because the talent hasn't been as good. Now the talent's coming back, as we can see today. Who can we get? Who can they see?
It'll be private school talent in the championship game as DeMatha and Bullis will take on each other tomorrow, July 3rd, with tip-off at 7 p.m. For now, Chase Shipley is fouled, and I got to hand it to Chase Shipley. He was in foul trouble, 3 fouls in the first half, and I think he's been clean here in the second half as he hits his first free throw, and he's had a good game for himself. Now up to 18 points, the team leader by leaps and bounds. Second best is Lokai Uth-Smith with 10 for Spring Mills.
Yeah, no. There's nothing to hang their head down. They came an hour and a half for the last almost like month and a half and played their butts off to get to the Final Four. Nothing to hang their head up. They all played well.
Shipley has it with 2:15 to go in this game. Caleb Thomas, the kind of a disappointment here in this game. Only 4 points after he came off almost a triple-double against the Cavaliers. But I think that just goes to show how well Bullis has been at containing these more dynamic players for Spring Mills. And I think you might have had a point earlier where sometimes it's just hard to have all gas, no brakes. Coming off of playing 31 out of 32 minutes in the quarterfinals game, you just get worn out. You're traveling 3 hours round trip just to be here.
Yep.
It adds up.
Oh, no, it adds up. And then just going down 270 to get here. And, yeah, no. And your legs are tired. You're tired. It's going to be a long ride back to the other side.
Stevens traveled with 1:41 to play. 63-34 lead for Bullis. 29 points for those who are keeping track. Bullis has won the second half by an astounding margin of 41-15.
Woo! Woo! That's a big margin, and that's a lesson I know Coach Samples is going to take. Say, hey guys, we can never get beat like that ever again.
They had a 26-8 run coming out of the half, and there's a hard block. It's the Bullis bench showing off that the athleticism does not just reside in that starting five.
Right, no, everyone's got it. Everyone's got it, 1 through 5.
Inbound Shipley off the back. That was a nice play.
Nice
Shipley
play.
to get to 20 points for Chase Shipley. An even, smooth 20 for Shipley. And maybe make this final score just that little bit more respectful. As inside down low, poked away right back to Stevens. To the corner, three-pointer, too strong, and a foul on the closeout. So we'll get end of the game free throws with 58 seconds to go. Mark Hunter called for the foul. At the line for Bullis, it's number 0 on the roster is Jeremiah Rice. Junior guard, listed at 6 feet. Misses the first free throw.
Doesn't he remind you of someone that was under 6 foot playing? You know, it reminds you of a small broadcaster who's now a broadcaster, but you know, someone who used to play a little basketball back in the day from South Lakes.
You mean someone who spent their time playing recreational basketball?
Yeah.
And never even sniffed even a freshman team lineup?
Yes, who played ROIC and
CYA basketball. Get your facts straight.
Yeah, oh.
2 for 3 from the line for Rice. That was approximately 3 seasons of CYA basketball under this belt, and a couple seasons of middle school basketball in Germany. So,
okay.
So you know, I'm not gonna sell myself short. Actually, no, I did not do very much. As Heeman finishes with the right, he does a lot there for an emphatic first 2 points of this game, and cuts off my rambling in its place. But I appreciate you bringing up my rec basketball career.
Of course.
You know, not all of us can play at the collegiate level and are gifted with height as you and your brother were, and talent and skill and ability and any other adjective you want to provide.
Not a lot of adjectives to describe our career, but it was a blessing. I will say that.
As it's put up and out of bounds, and that'll be an inbound for Bullis, and they will most likely dribble out the clock, and they will celebrate as they will play on in the championship of the Summer League. The Bullis Bulldogs avenge last year's loss to the Temley Tigers. This time they will make it all the way for a chance to compete for that 3-tiered trophy against the DeMatha Stags. Final score 67-31. Bullis wins by 31, and in that first part of the first half, Spring Mills, they showed fight, they were up, and then Bullis just steamrolling their way through.
Bullis found the weakness, and I think it's because they were taking careless shots too early. Spring Mills got a little too hot, and then Bullis found they're like, okay, they're taking these crazy shots, they're making them. How long can they stay? You know, you can only stay hot for so long. And I think Bullis just took advantage of that and just said, hey, we're going to show our athleticism and who we are, with or without Eric.
19 points for Christopher Richards, including 4 makes from deep, 14 from Adrian Stevens, and 17 from Angelo Dickerson, who also had 4 makes from three-point range. Chase Shipley, the leader by a wide margin for Spring Mills, contributed 20 of their 36 points. So just absolutely, he was their focal point. Caleb Thomas fell short. 4 points for him. Lokai Uth-Smith with 10 and Hope Bockley with 2. As Bullis, they took a 22-19 lead into the halftime and then won the second half 45-17. And head coach Bruce Kelly, he's got to be proud of how his boys played in that second half.
He's got to be. They're playing the way they should, with or without their star player. And tomorrow will be a great day, with or their star player, to really show what they're made of. And I'm very intrigued to see how this Coach Kelly team is going to do.
Well, with or without Eric Ryba, we're excited to see how that championship game will pan out. It'll be DeMatha. It'll be Bullis, number 1 versus number 6. Your final score, Bullis winning this one 67-36, a 31-point victory for the Bulldogs. For Isaac Harris, I've been Noah Schubert saying so long from our second semifinal game. We'll be back for the championship tomorrow. Bullis and DeMatha. Cash the one where you found this on SASN TV.
DMV Hoop Session presents the 2024 Capital Hoop Summer League, showcasing the best high school basketball in the DMV.